we are expecting member states of the OIC and hoping that a number of investors will be flying in with the leaders of the OIC countries that are participating. We anticipated investors coming in big time, and we organized on the sidelines an investment forum, which is going to bring together those people with potential to invest in the country, talk to them about opportunities that in the country, the areas we consider priority areas like agriculture. We're also looking at the services sector, which we have a lot of strengths in, and thereby I'm referring to the hospitality industry, for example, so that that investment forum is taking place on the sides of the OIC. And that's one great occasion that we believe will be able to mobilize a lot of foreign direct investment into the country. So we are looking specifically at the major five, the big five areas: agriculture, of course, production, but also value addition. These days when we talk agriculture, we are encouraging investors to look at the possibility of going into value addition rather than exporting the raw products. We want to add value, which is one quick way to generate jobs and keep them in the country, but also generate revenue as a result of exports of these finished products. So we're also looking at specifically zooming into the fishing industry, which is undertapped. Virtually, we are not doing much with that. It's a natural resource, it's a big one. We know sections of the world where there is a lot of money, there is a scarcity of fish products. So that's one area we are, through GAIPA, promoting investments into, so that we can get these big trawlers and go in deep seas beyond the 12 nautical miles, targeting everything within the 200 nautical miles, and exploit the resources in the oceans ourselves, process them here and export them. I talked about the hospitality industry, which is very, very, very key to our economic development. We know that the Gulf states are very good tourists, and they are the major players in the OIC. So we really want to ensure that they understand what Gambia offers in terms of the non-traditional products in tourism, like the beach and the sunshine. But we are now promoting the idea of cultural tourism, which will take them deep into the countryside, using the River Gambia, which is another gift that we have not tapped enough as a country economically. We want to encourage them to come into, river transport. We want to bring them into, hotels down the countryside. And this is one way we believe we can not only attract investors to come into our beaches in the coastal areas, but drag them into the countryside where they will be able to match with other ecosystemic features that the Gambia has to offer. This ministry is considered a trade ministry, even though we have 4 portfolios. I'll start with trade. Since we came in, and even before, the focus has been on trade facilitation, number 1, number 2, price stability, number 3, availability of essential commodities. And we have achieved all 3 very highly over the last 2 to 3 years. Facilitation, we have been involved in negotiating with other sister institutions within government to ensure importers find it easy when they get to the port. In addition to even negotiating as a government through the ministry to have the Indian government allow us to lift food commodities from India during the COVID period or post-COVID, when countries were imposing export bans on essential commodities to ensure their domestic markets are also adequately prepared and catered for. We have been involved in providing well, priority berthing is very important, being a situation where vessels carrying essential commodities are given priority over other vessels. We've also been involved with the central bank in ensuring the much needed, foreign exchange is available to them when their LCs are due for payment. So all these interventions have made it possible for them to ensure there is availability, which is the most important one. In terms of price stability, we're using a very direct method of ensuring there is adequate competition, within the market, and that enables the prices themselves, well, the products themselves, to regulate the prices within the space. And that has been also very, very successful over the last 3 years. We have had relative price stability. You might have some increases here and there on some of the commodities, but relatively, we have been very stable in terms of prices. And looking at industry, that is just moving away slightly from the trade part, we have been very, very, very helpful to certain sectors, particularly the small businesses, the SMEs. We have been supporting them through some of the projects we have here, the sheet trade and other projects, to ensure their capacity is increased. We've been supporting particularly women-led businesses to an extent that over 300 of them have benefited from, support from the ministry over the last couple of years. But more specifically, those that are, completely owned, managed by young women in this country. Over 130 of them are currently working with our She Trade project, and they're getting support not only financially. The finance part is a major one, but we are also helping them with capacity to run those businesses. Talking about integration, I think we engage both Guinea-Bissau and Senegal, who are our closest neighbors. The intention is to go beyond that and include Guinea-Conakry, Mali, Burkina Faso, Sierra Leone. The reason we have been slow on that has been the geopolitical situation around. But these two countries, we met the trade and industry ministers of both countries, and we have, as a country, initiated a collaboration between these three, a tripartite relationship that has led to a very, very closely knit relationship that is helping to facilitate trade across the three borders, which is very important for the export and transit trades in the Gambia, being the hub for Guinea-Bissau for these two functions. We've also, in employment, you remember the employment policy was launched by His Excellency President Adama Barrow in 2022, when I just took over this ministry. And we have been working to ensure these 150,000 jobs are created within the Gambian economy. And one of the first things, the key things we did was to develop a strategy to implement this. And that strategy has been validated now. Within that strategy, a lot of activities within and outside the ministry, within the private sector, with or in collaboration with the private sector, are already in place, and we are moving further. Give you an example. We instituted the first time a National Employment Technical Committee, which is a combination of civil society players and ourselves. And that committee has been meeting recently. They've come up with a 4-point or 5-point agenda to ensure we achieve this. And that agenda resonates with the points I gave earlier about our investment forum. They have agriculture. They believe that agriculture can create some of the jobs. They believe that fisheries can create some of the jobs. Tourism can create some of the jobs, and so on. So this is important for employment creation. But just before I leave industry, the greatest strategy that we have embarked on since I came on is the idea that we want to transform this country using industrialization. And we are coming with a project. We are currently very far, it has gone very far, that is working on an industrial transformative agenda for the economy. This is going to introduce free zones, special economic zones. It will introduce special industrial parks, ICT hubs. It will introduce agropoles and a lot of other facilities that will enable job creation, but also encourage light manufacturing, which is one of the strategies under our employment, policy strategy. That's important because, again, you're looking at what this country is going to take to the AFCFTA tomorrow. And tomorrow is not tomorrow per se, it's today. AFCFTA is here. It's already being implemented by some countries, and Gambia is ready in terms of policy, but are we ready in terms of products to take into this big common market? These are the questions we are trying to answer through that industrial transformation. So this is where this ministry is. We have to be a productive economy. And that can only happen in collaboration with the private sector. We have been saying for a long time that Gambia is promoting a private sector-led economy sort of approach. We want to make this meaningful. We want to get the private sector involved into real sectors of the economy in terms of production, whether this is food production to curb and reduce the amount of money we are spending importing food, or we are talking about light manufacturing. But the challenges there are the trade, the industrial infrastructure. We have challenges with, for example, energy. Industry is, being slowed down in terms of expansion as a result of the high cost on energy. This is one area that we, as a government, are very conscious of, and we are looking at measures to reduce them. We have started because the provision of the 23 megawatts electricity, which is clean energy, that is not going to cost government, that recurrent charges in, generating it. We believe is one area, one step towards providing cheaper energy to industry. And we have started engaging government on this. We hope we will be able to overcome this. The issue of cross-border trade. We know this country for a long time has been enjoying a very good cuisine, enjoying being a hub. At some point, we were even dreaming of being the Singapore of Africa. All these dreams, for me, are still alive and active. It's a question of triggering them and, bringing them back to action. We can turn this country back to a hub, but there are some structural issues within our tax regime, within our, energy sector that we need to revisit with a view to making the Gambia more attractive to investors, so that we consider this place a hub for producing light products that we can take to the African market and beyond. Let me also mention that we have been given by the Chinese government access to the market, the Chinese market, which is the same size as the African market. AFCFTA gives us a possible consumer base of 1.3 billion people. The Chinese economy is the same. Now, if we are given 98% quota-free, duty-free export to China, which we are currently working on ensuring the applicability of the offer, Gambia has every opportunity to sell to 1/4 of the world's population. We also have access to the American market, which is the most lucrative market in the world, arguably, using the AGOA opportunity, which this country has been given access to. And again, the ministry is working on ensuring our own producers are having access to the American market without any restrictions. So all these things together points to one thing. And yes, the challenge is how much are we producing? How much of what we produce will be valuable enough in terms of packaging, in terms of appropriate labeling, to take these things out. And that's where the investors have an opportunity to come in and invest in industry, to invest in these industries, to ensure that Gambia is prepared to prepare itself and launch a very aggressive sales campaign into AFCFTA, into the Chinese market, into the American market, and even the EU.